What's going on, everybody? French Vet coming back at you with another video. It is Sunday morning here in the DR in May. Just got up not too long ago, and I'm just gonna film what I'm gonna do on this random Sunday. So normally every Sunday morning, the thing I like to do is take a walk before it gets too hot. There's a beach literally 2 minutes from my apartment, which is awesome. It's a really nice beach, but it gets pretty crowded during the day with a lot of vendors. And if you look like this guy, you're a prime target. So every Sunday morning, that's kind of my ritual. Walk down by the beach, and then I have this little route that I'll go. So show a few clips of that. All right, good, about an hour-long walk. Now I'm back. One of the things I like to do on Sundays too, it's the one day I don't have to go into the office, so take time to do stuff that I'm interested in outside of work. I'm actually gonna do something that pertains to work here in a way. My biggest goal this year is to learn more Spanish. Working with only people that speak Spanish and don't really speak a lot of English, that's kind of the biggest lever to pull. And obviously, like, you learn to communicate in different ways when you're not really good at the language, but I've kind of learned to enjoy it. Once you turn a corner, it's kind of exciting and just something a little bit different. So some of the things that I found that have helped me get better at Spanish, you can kind of break it down into 4 parts. So speaking the language, listening to the language and understanding people when they talk to you, and then reading it and writing it. So the first 2 are definitely the most important. I think if you can do the first 2, the second 2 are gonna come pretty easy. But when you're just solo alone, I think the second 2 are a really good practice, and they just kind of mix it up a little bit. So one thing that I've been doing at home is I'm gonna read an article in English. This is just a Farnham Street article. Actually, I'd already translated it, but you see, it's not super long. So I read that bad boy in English, and then as you saw there, you can just translate websites to Spanish, which is really sick. And I'm gonna read this bad boy out loud, actually, and I found that kind of helps me with my pronunciation. And if I find any words in there that I don't really recognize, I'll add those to like my vocabulary deck so that I can kind of study those on the regular. It took me about 3 minutes to read that bad boy in English. It'll probably take me closer to 10 to read it in Spanish. But yeah, that's something that's actually helped me quite a bit. And then started actually working with a tutor, paying some money, which I think is just having skin in the game has made me take it a little bit more serious. And it's nice to like have someone who is also invested, like you're paying them. So those are some things that have helped me. And then just looking for ways to try to communicate and using your vocabulary as much as you can with what you have, and then slowly expanding from there. So I'm gonna try to read this bad boy, see how long it takes me. Ok. Evitar malas decisiones. A veces éxito se trata solo de invitar al fracaso. En FS, ayudamos a las personas a tomar mejores decisiones sin tener que depender de tener suerte. Un aspecto de la toma de decisiones de que rara vez se habla es como evitar tomar malas decisiones. Estas son 5 de las principales razones por las que tomamos malas decisiones. 1. Somos estúpidos sin querer. Nos gusta pensar que podemos procesar racionalmente la información como un ordenador, pero no podemos. Los sesgos cognitivos explican por qué tomamos una mala decisión, pero rara vez nos ayudan a evitarlos en primer lugar. Es mejor sentarse en estas señales de advertencia que indican que algo está a punto de salir mal. All right, 7:51, not bad. So a little over, less than 3 times as long. So slowly getting better. All right, next thing I'm going to be doing is recording Bev Boys. So my podcast with my boy Brian. Sunday is our day to do that. Looking forward to it. We'll see what we get into today. Obviously going to be crushing a white monster down here. And yeah, toes. All right, checking back in here. It's 2 o'clock, recorded Bev Boys with Brian, and I'm gonna go ahead and hijack this, vlog, whatever you want to call it, for a second. Kind of go back to talking about learning Spanish, not to give any expert tips, but just kind of an overarching theme that I've seen. So, to be honest with you, I came here to the DR last year. I've been here a little over a year now, which is crazy, working with the Cubs in the DSL, and that's been like the most challenging thing, like trying to learn Spanish. And I mean, I took Spanish in high school. Unfortunately, like I just hated school, so didn't really pay attention. Basically forgot the little that I did learn. But Spanish to me, like trying to actually put a concerted effort into like learning the language, has been probably one of the more challenging, if not like recently, one of the most challenging things that I've done. And it just kind of reminds me of, I think as coaches and as just people that are motivated to like try to do well in life, be successful, whatever you want to call it, we always talk about, okay, getting uncomfortable, being like comfortable with getting uncomfortable. And I think a lot of times, I can't speak for other people, but as just an average guy, if I'm having this problem, other average people like me are probably also having this problem. So I think a lot of times for myself, you think you're getting uncomfortable by, you're always trying to learn something, reading books, if it's going to conferences, if it's watching videos, talking to other coaches or other people within your field, trying to learn more about your certain domain or other domains that relate to your domain to help make you a better coach, practitioner, whatever your job is. And for me, like, I feel like I thought I was doing that, and I think to some extent I was, but actually trying to like learn a new language has kind of put into a new perspective of what actual discomfort is and actually getting uncomfortable is for me. And not to say that, okay, if you don't try to learn a foreign language, like you're just some comfort-seeking gremlin who will never reach your full potential. But I think it's really put into perspective for me of like, okay, it's something that's like, I mean, can be difficult for anybody. And I mean, I'm 25 years old, so people, obviously, you probably know, like, it's a little easier to learn a language the younger you are. Definitely not impossible to learn it later on. And I mean, I'm still somewhat young, depending on how old you are when you're watching this video. But I guess like a question that I've asked myself, maybe a question that you could ask yourself is, are you actually getting uncomfortable? Do you actually know what true like discomfort and getting out of your comfort zone means to you? Or have you kind of just been doing the same things that, maybe they were uncomfortable to you years back when you first started on whatever journey you're on at the beginning of your career? Are you just still doing that same stuff and kind of your skills have surpassed that and now it's, in your comfort zone? Or are you still finding ways to kind of push past that? And I didn't really want this to turn into a motivational video, but it's kind of been an eye-opening experience living down here. Obviously, like, huge culture shock. Typical white dude from the Midwest, with hardly any diversity growing up, and coming down here, and you think you're halfway decent at what you do. I didn't think I was, obviously try to be humble. I'm not the best coach in the world, still young, still learning, but I come down here and I feel like up until that point, I felt like my best quality as a coach was being able to connect with athletes. And, I think that really helped me as obviously, like, you hopefully accrue knowledge throughout your career, but to kind of make up for that, I felt like I did a really good job of connecting with athletes. People talk about buy-in, so they're just kind of a buzzword, to be honest, at this point, but connecting with athletes. And then when I got down here, none of these guys speak English, and it's like that was just taken away from me, and it was like, oh shit, kind of gotta check myself. And to be honest, that leads me to another point of like figuring out what your bottleneck as like a coach or a professional is, whatever field you're in. A lot of people, a lot of times will think about within sports performance is like, okay, what are our key performance indicators? What is holding this specific athlete or group of athletes back from excelling at their sport? What is their bottleneck, so to say? What's their rate limiting factor? But I think we kind of forget to do that with ourselves. At least I have. So, like again, average guy, other people probably have similar problems. And to me, like, yeah, I can learn as much as I want about training, but right now here for my specific context, literally I could not read a training book or a single article on training the whole year and just try to get better at Spanish, and that would probably provide much greater returns on my investment as a coach now than it would if I would just stay, kind of in that comfort zone of, all right, let me read the latest training book, even though I've read every other training book. So yeah, that's just something that I've been thinking about, is like it kind of it's been a good kind of gut check for me as far as reframing what getting uncomfortable is, not even as like a coach, but like as a person, like, and it's to the point where, I was a little bit, I guess I'll admit, like I was a little bit resistant to like trying to learn, probably because I kind of butted my head up against it and was like, okay, shit, this is hard. I'm not good at it, and it's not as easy to pick stuff up as like, you can read a training book and like you might have to work a little bit to understand it, but if that's what you like and what you enjoy, like you're going to be able to understand it. Versus learning the new language, I was, when I took Spanish in high school, like I said, I was just trying to get through that class. Didn't like it, wasn't interested in learning it, was like, okay, and I'll do this and then never probably do it again. And now it's kind of funny that it comes full circle because I feel like I've kind of turned that corner to where I'm like, okay, even if after this year I never work with another, Spanish-speaking athlete, I get out of baseball entirely, don't deal with any of this type of population, like I still want to learn because, one, kind of prove to yourself that, okay, this is something that's like legitimately hard for you to do and you did it, and it's not something physical, which is I think what a lot of us kind of do when we're trying to prove to ourselves we can still do something hard. It's usually some sort of workout, some sort of, okay, I'm going to do a marathon, this and that. But learning like something, more of like the intellectual side, I guess you'd call it. So those are just some random thoughts I've had about like what trying to learn Spanish and learning Spanish has put in perspective for me. And hopefully you guys can kind of look back and reflect on what you've been doing in your life, and are you actually, if you're trying to consistently make a concerted effort to grow, are you actually getting outside of your comfort zone? Do you know what your actual comfort zone is? And if you do know, are you actually getting outside of it, or are you just kind of thinking what your comfort zone was, 5 years back? You still think that what you were doing back then is still gonna force you to grow? I would push back on that a little bit. So back to whatever the hell I'm gonna do the rest of the day. Hopefully you got a little bit out of that. And then another thing is, like, again, find what your rate limiting factor is as person, coach, whatever job you're in. Because I think again, in sports performance, we look at that a lot. But what's that for you as a coach? Is it the soft skills, building relationships, communication? You're super good at programming, you're super good at the X's and O's, but you're lacking on that people skill side? Or is it the opposite? You're really good with with building relationships, but your programming is a little bit shady. Or for me, like, you just don't know Spanish. Like, obviously, I need to get better at literally everything else too. But I could know very little about training. If I was just, bam, woke up tomorrow morning and I'm fluent in Spanish, I'm going to be better than I am today. So that's kind of been a motivating factor for me. I don't always like practicing. It's uncomfortable. I suck at it. I suck a little bit less now than when I started, which is, it's a little bit motivating because kind of throw yourself a bone there. But yeah, ask yourself those questions and think about that. All right, now it's about 5:20 in the evening. I'm at work. You see I'm in gym. So I'm not at work on a Sunday because I'm some crazy, weird workaholic type of guy. I come to work on Sundays, most Sundays, for two reasons. One, bang arms, get a sick arm pump. And two, and probably more important, is to get free dinner. So super nice thing about working here, because our guys they basically stay in dorms here at the complex. So they have to serve 3 meals a day here, and the staff is privy to that as well. So instead of having to cook and buy groceries, I decided to be somewhat of a lazy fuck and just get a free dinner here. Don't have to worry about paying for groceries, cooking, and I'm gonna get a sick arm pump. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, so sick pump, check. This is what we're rocking with for dinner. Bunch of random stuff. So we got some cheesy cauliflower here. This is mofongo. I can't really see it that well. Mofongo, but it's made out of yuca. Usually it's made out of plantains, super popular down here. We got some steak. Don't worry guys, I wash my hands. Got some steak, some like calamari, I think this is, some onions, and then like a cheese, pepper, sausage salad thing. So I think that's gonna about do it for the day. Appreciate you guys watching. Probably make another one of these random videos. Hopefully you got something out of that part in the middle, thinking about those questions. And that's it. Peace.